I was on a work conference. I had just gotten into Chicago, and my boss had prearranged for the shuttle to pick us up. And during the course of the travel to the hotel, the driver was driving very erratically, and our seatbelts didn't work in the van, and he came to a sudden stop. And when he came to that sudden stop, I slid from the back of the van where I was seated at up to the front of the van. And I got up. Everybody wanted to know, "Are you all right?" And I thought that I was. I thought that I would wake up the next day probably a little sore, but that was all that it was to it. So we continued on to the hotel. And when we got to the hotel, the driver stopped and he put us out on the street side. I mean, the side where the traffic is coming, not the sidewalk. And he opens the door to the van, and I was the first person, and I stepped out, and it was a long way down to this pavement, and he didn't offer a hand or anything to help me down, and I fell exiting the van. I can just remember it's like I was flying through the air, and then big fall, and the pain was excruciating. I remember I couldn't move my leg, and at that time I still didn't know that I had broken my leg because I had never broken anything before. So I got to the hospital, and the doctor came in and he took x-rays, and he said, "It's a fraction." I said, "It's broken." He said, "Yes." And he said, "We're going to have to do surgery. And when I do surgery, I'll put a plate in and 9 screws." I had that thought in my mind that I'll be all right and I'll be able to walk. I didn't know that I would be forever, my life be forever changed. I'll be on a cane, well, from a wheelchair to a cane, and this excruciating pain, in which eventually led into me having to have a knee replacement. So other firms that were supposed to be major firms, they didn't think that I had a case that was winnable after they reviewed it. And so they turned me down. So at that point, I thought that was the end of it. And I was, resigned to that fact. So then I was surprised when I got the call from Attorney Dixon. And I told him the facts of the case, and he got back to me. And I was really surprised when he said that he would take the case. I didn't even know that my injury was a workman's comp injury until my boss, who was traveling with me at the time, told me that it was. Whatever went on in the workman's compensation case, Attorney McAveen kept Attorney Dixon apprised of what was going on all the time. Yes, he really prepared me. I came to Chicago a month early, and he took me to the courthouse. He took me to the courtroom. He had me to sit where I would be sitting at in the courtroom. The experience was a very good experience. He kept me up to date with everything that was happening. We kept in contact. If I emailed, then within at least an hour at the most, I would get an answer back. Any major thing came up, or he wanted to do a deposition, or he found another piece of evidence or whatever, he would call me and let me know. He treated me like a partner in the actual law case. I want people to know about his ethics, his ethical behavior. He's a person that, just like he says on his website, he has Christian ethics, and he lives by that. I cannot say enough how much I respect him as an attorney and as a person. And I would recommend him to anyone who was looking for an attorney for personal injury. I want to share my experience because I wanted to let others know who maybe have gone through an experience like that they do have an option, and also to let them know that there are attorneys out there like Attorney Dixon who will be willing to help them.